Welcome back to TechNet Radio. It's IT time, and in today's episode, Blain Barton welcomes his fellow East Region IT Pro Evangelists to the show. Listen in as we hear from John Baker, Bob Hunt, Dan Stolts, and Yung Chou as they discuss a little bit about their technical backgrounds, as well as how they each got started in IT and working at Microsoft. Blain, the mic is yours.
Hello and welcome to IT Time. I'm your host, Blain Barton, a Senior IT Pro Evangelist with Microsoft. And today I have a few special guests, colleagues, and most important, friends. And I thought I'd go ahead and introduce them and get to know the rest of the Senior IT Pro Evangelists here in the East region of the United States. So what I'd like to do is start with my friend John Baker and also the co-host of IT Time. John, take it away. Introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Baker. As Blain said, I'm in East Region. I'm based out of Atlanta in the Southeast. And my technical focus area in the region is deployment. So I work on things like the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit and the various tools that you would use, System Center Configuration Manager, things like that help with deploying Windows 7 and applications in your environment. And how I got started in IT was many moons ago. I started in mainframes, actually, back in a long time ago when mainframes were water-cooled. And that's not a joke, that's true. The mainframes that I was working on were water-cooled. And I moved from that to mini-computers because that was like the revolution was moving to mini-computers. And then I moved to the PC revolution in the mid-'80s, not long after really minis took over from mainframes. So that's how I got started in IT. And I see up here, you want to know what was the first game I played, the first video game? And actually the first video game was Pong, the very first video game. So,
nice.
Although the one that I really got into first was Galaxians, or was it Galaga? No, Galaxians was before Galaga. So Galaxians was the one I started on the real video games back in, I guess that must have been in the late 70s, early 80s. So, and I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone else has to say. But anyway, let me give you my email address and my blog address. My email address is johnbaker@microsoft.com, and my blog address is technet.microsoft.com/blogs. Actually, no, back that out. It's blogs.microsoft.com/johnbaker.
Excellent, John. Thanks. And well, this is part of our team right here. So I'm going to move back over to my other colleague and friend, Mr. Bob Hunt. Bob?
Thanks, Blain. So as Blain mentioned, my name is Bob Hunt. I'm also an IT Pro Evangelist in New York. I'm based out of my house in Yorktown Heights, New York, but essentially out of the New York office. My technical focus area is collaboration, so that covers things like Microsoft Exchange, Microsoft Lync, as well as Microsoft SharePoint. My background, how I got into computers in general, my dad worked for a large three-letter technology company, so I got early exposure to computers many years ago, and I started tinkering around with PCs in the 80s, and it really just kind of built from there. So I spent a lot of time tinkering around with stuff that just doesn't exist anymore, and got into the PC revolution, and really couldn't wait to get through college and start working in this industry. So it's always been a lifelong passion of mine. So essentially, I'm here to help the other IT pros in the East region, based in the New York metro area. So my email address is bobh@microsoft.com, and my blog is www.bobhunt.net. So thank you.
Excellent. And I know you're an Exchange guru as well, and you working on unified communications. So that's some of the technical focus areas, correct?
Definitely.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Great. We had Bob out of New York. Now what I'd like to do is move over to Mr. Dan Stolts. How you doing, Dan?
Very good, Blaino. Thank you for asking.
You bet.
Well, I got started in the industry, long ago. My first computer was a VZ200, I think it was. I didn't get started in the mainframe. I really got started on the computer. Back then, the computer was a keyboard. The keyboard plugged into your television. There were no diskettes. There were no hard drives. In fact, the only external media that you had was a cassette player, literally a cassette. I started off actually on the programming side. I was writing little menus and games and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I fell in love with computers. moving into the DOS age, I kind of took to DOS and then kind of took to the IT pro space of just working on computers and never looked back. So now I'm kind of on both sides of the house. I do IT pro for my job, but I still enjoy programming and been doing it for many, many years. And my technical focus area with Microsoft is management and security. Security is something I've been passionate about for many, many, many years. And prior to that, I was mostly passionate about virtualization. So I'm still really, really strong in that area. But my primary focus now is on management, which covers all of the System Center products, as well as some of the new stuff that's coming up, like Windows Intune, all the forefront stuff, as well as just security in general.
Excellent.
I thought you got a new.
People can reach me.
I thought you got a new TFA this morning.
I did.
Yeah, shoveling snow off your driveway.
Oh, yeah, shoveling snow. There's a lot of that to be shoveled today, I'll tell you. I can be reached online. Pretty much the easiest way to reach me is just IT Pro Guru, IT Pro Guru. www.itproguru.com gets you to my blog. That's my address on Twitter. So that's the easiest way to contact me.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Dan. Now I'd like to move over to Mr. Yung Chou. How you doing, Yung?
Hi, this is Yung Chou, and it's spelled as Y-U-N-G and the C-H-O-U. It's pronounced just like Young and Chosen, so I'm the Young and Chosen one. I'm based in Charlotte. And how I got into computer is I actually started my career as a system programmer, so it's for that big company and writing JCL. I was doing system simulations was quite interesting. And then how I got into Microsoft, it was back in the Windows 95 time frame that I was actually doing the other networking for a company. And then I realized using Windows 95, I could share the printer and share the fax just like that. And that's how I got interested into Microsoft, and here I am. My focus area are virtualization, specifically virtual desktop infrastructure, and these days cloud computing, particularly private cloud, using a System Center Virtual Machine Manager Self-Service Portal 2.0 as the delivery vehicle for infrastructure as a service.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thanks, guys. Well, I guess it's my turn to kind of wrap things up. I'm Blain Barton once again, and I got started in computers with basically an old machine at college. We actually used the mainframe, HP 3000, where we actually did manuals from the mainframe, and then we moved into the A and B floppy disk drives and moving those back and forth between the machines with Perfect Calc and Perfect Writer in my college days. And also, moved into my first job with Microsoft was putting disks and manuals in boxes as moved down the assembly line, but kind of moved into doing VB support as a team manager, and then OEM, spent several years in OEM with Microsoft. And my technical focus area is Windows deployment. So with server and client, Windows deployment services, and more importantly, Windows Server. So that's a little bit about the team. Once again, we are the East Region U.S. IT Pro Evangelist team. And with that, I'd like to thank Mr. Baker, Bob Hunt, Dan Stolts, Yung Chou for being on the show. Once again, I'm Blain Barton, your host, IT Time, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
See ya.